Welcome to Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet. Join Janet and her friends as they gather at the intersection of consciousness and self-experience, what being consciousness in human form is all about. Access heart-centered awareness with them and feel the difference in the moment that will last a lifetime.
Hello, and welcome to Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet. I'm Janet Barrett. I'm delighted that you have accepted my invitation to enjoy moments in time where the chaotic out there settles down. It does it from within your core essence as consciousness. In going inward, we are going to go outward beyond and access the cosmos of the unseen realms. When I was contemplating what I would like to offer all of us this holiday season, I heard the word angels. Great. When I was directed to the resource treasure that is embodied as Crystal Pomeroy, I found her full of awareness about not only angels, but of the solstice and astrology, earth and energies in form and out of form that wander here, all wrapped up in a richness of spirit. We are fortunate, as you and I will enjoy not only angels, but her deep connection to the unseen realms. That is what is here to value, her deep connection to these unseen realms and their historical pathways. Our senses are really a bandwidth of information, with our daily self-awareness usually focused on the narrowest of what is there. We are accessing the whole of it when we are as consciousness. Metaphysics and the esoteric arts focus on this more expansive range. And, depending on how open and aware you are of this part of your senses, your intuitive ranges, it will fit your constraints and the power of your definitions of this field. I enjoy the word consciousness. I also deeply respect and appreciate the framing that the term metaphysics provides. Earth is really a playground to enjoy many different energy signatures and manifestations of information. It is not for me to judge. It is only for me to embrace the creator dynamic in the infinite being and enjoy, as I hope you will. Life is rich with signs and myths and histories that can be useful and make easier our time here. Angels occupy a realm that is at least as old as humankind. Joining me today is Crystal Pomeroy, angel communicator, metaphysician, astrologer. She is steeped in the lore of different cultural references of angels and goddesses and historic traditions that will provide context for us to not only enjoy, but feel as she reminds us of our ancestors' frames of references of being alive across the millennia. We will open many portals of information as we explore. Angels will be in there someplace. From her childhood, Crystal Pomeroy has been dealing with our realms of the non-physical realities, the esoteric arts. Her natural talents and skill sets include healer, astrologer, teacher, writer, speaker, spiritual growth facilitator, television and radio host. She is a scholar, a collector of myths and stories from antiquity. Originally from Northern California, Crystal studied Spanish and Latin American studies at UC Berkeley. Since college, she has been living in Mexico, where she has continued her studies of different native traditions for many years. She currently hosts her own weekly radio show from Mexico City. And you can read her monthly predictions and tips in her daily success guide and Daykeeper Journal at www.daykeeperjournal.com. Author of the upcoming Llewellyn book, Angelic Intelligence, she is the founder of Vibrational Science, Divine Unblocking, and Angelic Constellation Methods. Her teachers and students through her Alchemy Empowerment sessions offer sustaining ongoing support for orphanages and the elderly and others in need in the Mexico City area. You can reach Crystal for alchemy empowerment and healing sessions, various courses working with angels, and in-depth astrological and numerological charts at Crystal crystal_clearalways@yahoo.com. Follow her on Facebook as Crystal Pomeroy, author and healer, and Instagram as Crystal_clearalways. Our language this time is of help. Different energies and ways we can engage the wonder of being and being in the body form. We are not alone. Consciousness provides ageless events and tracking of the heavens and earth. We are showered in angels, gods and goddesses, and astrology, appreciations of the seasons, kindness, support, blessings, solstice, and holidays, and love. What is not to like? Thank you for joining me, Crystal. It's lovely to have you here.
Thanks so much. This is a special experience because I've been listening to your programs and how you do them. You're sort of both on the radio, on internet, and also on a higher wavelength that's not of this world at all. So that's and you put a lot of love into it. And so thank you very much.
Oh, well, thank you for catching all this. I like you. I like you a lot already.
Thank you.
There we go. So, everyone, what we're going to talk about today with Crystal, we're very fortunate. I have always wanted to get someone on board for this show who has that touch with the angelic realm. But who's pretty clear of bias and interpretations, which a lot of times I sense over the years there's always that showing up. And Crystal, you have such a wonderful feeling for this, and we want to, since it's the holidays, and what better time for angels to show up and interact with, and especially in this time of stress that the holidays are focusing for us, and how that angelic realm and their importance, because some people might not be into angels, right? They're into meditation or whatever it is. But I think this is such an old realm, I mean, as old as mankind, if not older, that there's value there to be noticing. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's fascinating, and I can definitely hear you about how some people might not resonate with the idea. And at the same time, it's really interesting to look into ancient traditions and discover the roots of the archangels in those traditions. And what you just said about angels having been around for a very long time, they're light beings. We're used to thinking of them in sort of an anthropomorphic way of having wings, and that's fine. That's like an archetype, and they can appear that way if that's how we're open to them. But they can also be understood as conscious, sentient force fields.
I like that. Go for that.
I thought you would with your focus on consciousness. And so they really make a difference in our spiritual life. And I agree with you about the potentially stressful times that we're in, not just with the holiday, but with all of the apparent political controversy that's going on, and the kind of tendency that I've noticed in the media, I'm sure you have picked up on too, a lot of intense negativity on different sides of the political equations. And so that's an area also where we can bring in some harmony with the help of the angels at this time.
Okay, everyone, now you kind of got our setup. So whether they're I have no words.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes, right. Okay, whether we project them into form or not, there may be something in an energy signature, and what it would be like to accept that there is some possibility of it, right? So everybody, let's just take some time, or a few moments here, to just come together and notice, and we'll put Crystal with us in this, because I think she's going to add not only depth, but a far-reaching expression in our energy field. So just breathe. Notice you have a breath. Notice that you breathe. Let it be easy. Don't make it anything other than it's just a breath. There we go. There we go. And then notice the heartbeat. That's your heartbeat. That's your breath. Let them come into sync. Let the core essence of consciousness unfold within you. It's already there. And we're just going to access this realm and let ourselves be present. Let go of the story illusions that we're all running. And this is almost Thanksgiving time. You'll be listening to this just before Christmas. And so what happens, because time and space and place really expand and contract and are very malleable, who knows between now and then? Who knows what might be possible? So just allow yourself to feel the sacredness present. And as Crystal shares with us what she's aware of, and she's been doing this a long time, since a child, since you were 12 or so, you've been doing dream analysis and those kind of things, Crystal?
Yeah, reading astrological charts and setting intentions and using a lot of prayer. And
Got it. So she's very aware and cognizant of the heavens. When you're into astrology and you're marking passages of time and place and space. So she's bringing all that in. So just notice, and then where are we, people? There we go. There we go. And we're going to let this episode be all about being and putting our story aside over there and experiencing ourselves beyond our physicality, inviting in what is possible. There we go. That feels better. What are you noticing in the moment, Crystal?
Janet?
Yep. What are you noticing?
I'm noticing a feeling of love coming from your recognition of the angels that are gathered around here. And I want to say that in relationship to them, for me, it's an honor, as it is to be on your program too, to be able to be one of their many voices.
Oh, how nice. Tell them thank you. We're privileged to have them here. So everyone, just be noticing. Now, we had with Anne Gainey a couple episodes ago about the breath of kindness and the awareness of Earth. And angels would seem to be the cosmos range, I guess. But what I want you to do is bring that steadfastness of Earth and that rhythm and open it to what is above and around. There we go. People keep shifting. That's good. I think that's probably the hustle bustle of the day out there. All right. Well, tell us about the angelic realm, Crystal.
Well, it's very interesting what you were saying right now about the earth and also the air, because this is all, of course, part of the cosmos too. And we have these ideas of that are sort of stereotypes related to angels that we tend to project onto them. Besides the
look,
yeah, right, and they, for instance, that they're floating around out there somewhere and they're not really connected to Earth. So in the ancient traditions, it turns out that they were ancient cultures were very much aware of this sentient presence, loving presence of intelligences that were not necessarily visible, but that also worked through nature and through the earth. This is one of the many facets of angelic intelligence, which is the book that's going to be published by Llewellyn that I've prepared, and that really in a very different approach than yours, made me, the publisher made me like really sort of boil it down and center on some very sort of like a skeleton of the whole topic of angels, which is very vast and very fascinating, especially when you get into their ancient roots. And I had started out preparing after the idea of angelic intelligence came to me, preparing a course. I'd been teaching metaphysics, healing, abundance, and so forth for years. And so I was interested in how the 7 archangels which are presented, because there are different systems of archangels, but the 7 are presented in Pseudo-Dionysius work, which probably derives from ancient Egyptian spiritual knowledge, which is really quite wise. The really ancient, the pre-dynastic Egyptian spiritual knowledge was, they took into account a lot of cosmic energy and spiritual technology that's quite fascinating. So anyway, his 7 archangels have each one a color, like the colors of the rainbow. And each of these colors and each of these archangels relate to a certain set of metaphysical principles. And as I got into looking at their symbols, the symbols of each archangel and their color and their principles, I was fascinated to discover links to ancient goddess traditions. And so, and living in Mexico had enriched this for me. Like, I moved here when I was in college, but before then, I had been doing pagan ceremonies and so forth. Largely, I think because of my mom's influence. She was wonderful, wonderful light being. You can probably pick up her vibration with your wonderful intuition. But anyway, she was a renowned astrologer and scientist and intellectual, and who opened a lot of doors for me. And I was had been interested in pagan lore and myth and knowledge. She brought me to study with Joseph Campbell when I was still a kid, and for a long time. But in Mexico, I found these what I call like links that were missing in other pagan lore, because as you know, certain institutions, mainly promoted by the church, and also conquesting cultures in different places, have burned and destroyed a lot of the information. And so in Mexico, there was such a plethora of knowledge that was still available through the oral tradition mainly, that I was fascinated to discover that, for instance, Tlazolteotl, who's an autumnal goddess of rebirth related to healing, to midwives, and to the earth, had a lot of connections to Zadkiel, who's the angel, the purple archangel of transmutation. And this actually relates to the current time we're going through, because especially in preparation for new beginnings with the solstice coming up, which is a really important cosmic portal that I love, and has very interesting transits this year. Some say it's the moving into the age of Aquarius, and we can talk about that if we have time in a bit. But these earth goddesses were known to actually work through a kind of magnetic energy that the earth itself exerts, besides the physical magnetism of the earth and its physical gravity, there's this pulling action, which was symbolized in Tlazolteotl's lips that were depicted and still are in the codexes, depicted in black, because she would like suck toxins and suck, as the earth sucks the leaves that have fallen in autumn into it and dissolves them to fertilize the soil for the next cycle of growth, that she will suck the energies that we want to release, things that one is carrying that one feels that we can't let go of. And I actually wanted to invite people to do this if they'd like as part of a solstice or and or Christmas ritual, because the 2 days are very much connected, to make a list of what you'd like to let go of in terms of like attachments to obsolete situations, perhaps some situation or some person in particular, resistance to change, anxiety, emotional pain, confusion, anything that seems like it's too much that you don't want to carry and that's somehow kind of holding you back in the manifestation of your path of power, of your joy, that to write them down. You could do this if you want to on a purple sheet of paper. Purple is a color of transmutation and of dissolution. And then you can sit or lay on the ground and ask the angels of transmutation. You can say, for instance, Archangel Zadkiel and his twin flame amethyst, please come and pull from me these any load that would hinder my spiritual growth and expression. And or this is just an example, you can of course adapt it, but or you can call on the angels of endings, which is another group that is connected to this particular process of transmutation. Angels of endings, if Tlazolteotl is like a complicated word to pronounce because it has so many
thank you for mentioning that
consonants. Some of these indigenous words, they're quite fantastic, but you don't need to get the translation. I mean, the pronunciation. You can just say angels of the transmuting earth, or freeing mother, or whatever resonates for you, but along this theme of ideas, and ask her to pull these situations from you and feel the earth pulling these from you. If you can sit on earth that's been moved or tilled, that's even better, or even touch it with your hands, with your knees. Or if you can't go out, if there's no earth around to do this on, do it in your house and just feel that pull from the earth. She'll respond, the angels will respond. And it's amazing the way they'll pull out heavy knots that we have vibrationally. And this could be kind of a preparation for the rebirth energies of solstice. But I love the way the ancestral perspective brings in the angel's presence in a lot of different ways that aren't necessarily these stereotypes that we're used to thinking of.
Well, that's what's coming to mind. All right, everyone. She just gave us a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm going to put it in stuff, the label of stuff, because depending upon your belief systems and your levels of awareness of this, it just registers as information. All right? So in noticing, remember, and being present, we can see that Crystal has got all this information for us, and it's not to know the details of it. It is just to be in the presence of the reality state that she's in. All right? And so how we notice you becoming aware of, like she's suggesting. She's described to us an angelic realm of more than one. There are different schools of reference, and I'll use that term because she's got traditions of Mexico against Greek, Roman, whatever, all these different, everybody seems to, let's just say, cultures of all different kinds have held that there is something beyond the form that is present, right? Can we say that, Crystal?
Definitely. And there's this presence is helpful, and is
nourishing.
willing.
Yeah, it's working with us. It's working
exactly.
with us. Yeah, it's a supportive energy. So you can put wings on it or you can put black lips on it. It doesn't really matter. What it is the reality that you're not alone, but we are all one. We are all connected in this flow. And in allowing that just the energy that it would be surrounding you, you can come at it from an earth perspective, you can come at it from a cosmos perspective, and just notice how life could become easier. And that the solstice is a great time to let go of things. And if you're letting go of things, you're having new beginnings. Things are ending, things start. That's just the way the flow seems to work. So what it would be like to access that awareness. And what it would be like for your holiday season this year to really be more about an inner time. If you don't have the distraction of family and those things, just being present and being grateful and appreciative that you are alive and that there are so many avenues of support around us. And when you're busy focusing on the clamor and the chaos and the day-to-day striving, all of that, we forget these things. So what it would be like to start in a state of appreciation, have the breath of kindness, and just be open that the earth is supportive, the energies around it are supportive, and clarity is possible. There we go. There's a lot of stuff there. So what it'd be like to let go of those things. You know, we tend to save New Year's for resolutions, and it really, use your time wisely and start sooner. Really what it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right, Crystal. What? So this is the angelic realm. It comes in lots of flavors and colors and and textures and information, and you can pick and choose. So don't be limited by what you believe you think you know. It's really, let's get it bigger than that, guys. Let's just go way bigger than that. All right. So what else do we want to know about this time of year?
Okay. Well, I really love the way that you bring us into the meditation of it. Like you really created a meditation here, which in itself is a kind of an inner ritual. And thank you. And this preparation is related to the sort of rebirth that we have at solstice time, which is actually an archetype for the new year in ancient cultures where they didn't have a Gregorian calendar. They had a solar calendar, a planetary calendar, a lunar calendar, because of course they could see this wonderful sky full of stars and were connected to it and referred to it for their cycles. And in the case of solstice, I mean, New Year's also has its own interesting symbology, the date of New Year's and the energy of New Year's. But in the case of solstice, we're talking about the sun having reached its lowest point in the sky in relationship to the earth. And that happens the night before solstice, or if solstice is at night, it happens that same night until the sun enters in 0 degrees of Capricorn and starts its climb back towards the zenith, which will be going on until summer solstice. And this is a point of energy that's really, it's quite interesting, and it's a lot of fun to include in one's holiday festivities, some kind of solstice blessing or activity. And for the ancients, it was about a newborn son. So we see the archetype of the divine child being born at Christmas in one tradition, and we see in the solstice traditions also an archetype of the solar hero born as a child, because the sun is just starting out. It's not grown and strong yet. It's still small relatively in terms of its light, the way it hits the earth. Of course, all of this is in relationship to the earth and to our own realm of perception on earth and our experience on earth. And so they are speaking to this newborn divine child that's come out of the womb of autumn and of the forces of autumn, and which are forces of ending and closing cycles. And it's rising in the sky to remind us and give us the opportunity to reconnect with our own Christ consciousness, our own heroic solar energy that we each have within us, which is, when one gets into the pagan traditions, is really quite fascinating. I did an article for Daykeeper, a magazine one of the magazines I collaborate in, several years ago in 2012. They asked me to do an article on the change of era with ancient Aztec tradition and Mayan traditions. And so I got into studying what I had thought, frankly, was kind of a commercial trip. I really didn't have a lot of faith in this actually being some sort of cosmic event. So I started researching from different standpoints, and what I discovered was really fascinating. For instance, the Aztec calendar, which probably many of those who are listening may have seen sometime, a circle with a bunch of interesting symbols in relief, is actually not a calendar. It's actually a depiction, a sculpture of what in Spanish is called the Nahual del Sol, which means like the hidden spiritual personality of the sun. And this resonates with something that Manly P. Hall mentions in his Ancient Secrets of the Ages, about how the sun for ancestral cultures was recognized or thought of not just as a physical thing, but as a portal to angelic dimensions, and from which the main archangels are thought to have come, and also the Jesus is thought to have come. Like different solar heroes are thought to have come through this door and carrying this energy. And so the fascinating thing about the different sections on the Aztec calendar is that each of them represents a different kind of psychic process. And this is how they viewed the year. Each part of the year relates to a certain part of our own psychic processes. And so the newborn sun is a facet that's going to become an adolescent, a young, virile energy at spring, and then it's going to mature. And by August, it's going to be related to a grandmother energy of wisdom. And so the different poles of masculine and feminine were brought into this process that at the winter solstice, we're talking about this sacred masculine energy that begins to rise and represents that part of ourself that for them was called voluntad logradora, which means achieving will. So the connection with the solar hero that's born as a child, which they would call the precious child, or also they called it the hummingbird of the left, which is a really beautiful metaphor, since hummingbirds are related to also the subtle realms and to spirits that are no longer in the physical. And so this essence, this child essence, was like a hummingbird who suspends itself, keeps itself suspended in the air by beating its little wings incessantly, defying gravity. And so it's similar to one's own reaching out for a new level of awareness or consciousness, and feeling like there's this kind of newborn energy about it that's rising up, and that we can connect with. And we'll share a bit further on some really beautiful ways to connect with that energy too.
Okay, you bring up a whole bunch of information there, so let me sort through there.
Sure.
So the first couple of thoughts are that no matter what the religious tradition, whether Christianity is going to go with Christ consciousness, Judaism will do something else, the Islam will do another thing, and so forth. All these different religions have the same principle that something begins and something matures, and then something recedes, and then something again, and in the cycle of going around on this journey. And what came to mind was a really strong feeling that inner child in each of us, right?
Exactly.
That is showing up. And if we thought in terms of renewal for each of us, that we get so distracted by what the busyness of holidays in this time of year bring up, and it takes us away from our own inner experience that is transitioning from having the early fall, and now it's going into the winter time, and we get hit with that word, oh, you're dying, this is the dying time, when it's really the time where it just goes inward and the energies come forward, right?
Yeah,
and then it springs out in the spring. So
right.
Everyone, so just be noticing what it'd be like that right now is about for you being able to acknowledge the parts of you, the patterns in you, the resonances in you that are feeling done, that are letting go, that are changing. And if we acknowledge them that way, notice how you relax. That you are right where you're supposed to be in the rhythm of what the earth offers us, and the opening, the portals, it's through the cosmos. And it's just different information coming in. So you call your experience something, and we're offering, what if you could call it something different? And then it's user-friendly. This doesn't have to be the drain.
I like that.
It doesn't have to be the exhaustion of getting to this point.
Right.
You just let go of that, and you allow yourself to come into your awareness of what is coming to the surface, what is new, your rebirth. It doesn't have to be a little child somewhere. It's your inner child. It's your patterns that are, maybe we've been missing these opportunities of where change happens as part of the whole design, but we're busy in the habituated experience of it, and we miss our opportunities to let life be easier or gentle. And then the other point that comes up, so it's about the little boy, and I hear, well, what about the little girl? What's my holiday? Is there something in all these traditions that address the feminine coming into awareness?
Definitely. Yes, definitely. And one of the most interesting aspects of that in terms of traditions that are still enacted today is who is known, the being called La Virgen de Guadalupe, the Virgin of Guadalupe, who is actually a light being that I actually saw once in an Aztec ceremony that I participated in. Yeah, I didn't believe in this whole virgin thing very much, then I discovered that she's actually a being that emanates this energy of chastity, and which explained to me why there are virgins of this, virgins from this place and virgins from that place and virgins all over, because there's actually this chaste mother energy that is particularly venerated at the beginning of December. And as you may have heard, and your listeners probably too, that millions of people make a pilgrimage to her shrine, what used to be her shrine before it was turned into a Catholic shrine. And here we're not talking about a conflict in symbols, because the whole point of spiritual connection is to find what works for us in that inner life that you were mentioning, Janet. And so it's not, there's really no point in seeing it from the standpoint of, I think, in this particular transmission, which is designed to open us to helpful energies, to talk about the social, political, and historic aspect, and get stuck on that. But what's fascinating is that the connection of this numinous chaste mother energy is so strong for the Mexican people, and it's in their, I would say it's in their blood, it's programmed in their genes. They're just attracted, and they come from many miles, and they like to walk this. A lot of them walk this trek for many miles. They spend days doing it to honor her shrine. And so after I had this experience, I understood it more. And she relates to, getting back to the topic of angel, who are also connected to this, the Virgin relates to the Archangel Gabriel. And Gabriel and his twin flame Hope are the angels of renewal. And they appear in the story of Jesus' conception, when Gabriel comes and tells Mary she's going to have the divine child. And they also appear in other goddesses like Juno, who, like you were just talking about, the Greek and Roman traditions, who was a goddess who would renew each year her own virginity. And she could do this at will. Again, reminding us of how this side of ourselves that is the pure creativity, the side of ourselves which is a maternal essence, which is on a very high vibration, and can choose from that consciousness, that kind of freedom, what it is we're going to bring forth, is a very strong presence in this whole process. And they're also related to white flowers, those these angels and goddesses. And there's also a Mexican midwife goddess who is also related to white flowers, and they're also related to water and baptism of all kinds. So what you were just saying about each of us having this kind of inner birth, we each of us, the guys too, and I see that I see on your website that you have activities for guys, spiritual activities, which I think is really great. I think it's something that's needed in our times particularly. And so anyway, this side of ourselves that is our own divine ability to bring forth from a high vibration the best, and it's then projected into this being, which you can think of, if you prefer, as a baby girl or a baby boy. The masculine part is more about vibration, not like women can't have it. And
okay.
So it's in the case of the child, it's a child that's going to be a strong child. In the Mexican mythology, this particular child is born fully armed because his mother, who had a bunch of kids before him, over 400 to be precise.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
She was sweeping the temple. We can imagine she's a mature mother, right? I mean, after having all those kids. And so she was sweeping her temple, and while she's sweeping the temple, which is a wonderful symbol of sweeping out of our own psyche periodically whatever we want to go. And in my case, I certainly have things that I can get out of there on a persistent basis. And a feather falls, a multicolored feather falls and inseminates her. And so this warrior child is what comes forth, and she tells him, your siblings found out that I'm pregnant and they're plotting to kill you. And so he comes out and to kill me. And so he comes out and he's fully armed, and he vanquishes the jealous siblings, and which can be thought of as like limited voices. Carl Jung said that when we have in dreams and myth numerous personalities of the same type, like in this case the siblings, that they represent numerous voices in our own psyche. And so if we look at it that way, it's this heroic energy that has the feist to it that in astrology, for instance, we associate with Mars, which is a masculine symbol. And we all have this energy, but it's like we awaken this strength, this feisty energy that is going to be able to have the power in his determination to be able to rise again, rise in all its light, as does the sun. And from that standpoint, I love a reflection of Rudolf Steiner about the inner Christ, what it actually is. I don't agree with everything he says, but I find this super interesting. He says that the inner Christ is often confused with our inner divinity, whereas it's not exactly the same, because there's an omniscience that could be taken as, like, he would call it the Father. I might call it the Father, Mother, and the Christ is not that. The Christ is what needs to grow, or what can grow in us that becomes strong and is perceived physically as a child, like a baby that is first starts out crawling. Well, it doesn't even know how to crawl. Then it crawls, and then it has to get up on its feet and walk, and then it eats, and so on. And we have these individuation opportunities that are related to our inner Christ. And so from a spiritual standpoint, like for the ancient Toltecs, the idea was that this sun is, this heroic energy of the sun is going to give us the willpower to stay in connection with our intentions, our spiritual intentions, how we want to grow, how we want to evolve, how we want to bring forth our spirit of strength as individuals. And so that gives a new kind of understanding that's not exclusive to any particular gender or gender preference.
I think that's what I'm catching. So everyone, I want you to pay attention to all what she's presenting to us, are different appreciations. And when you take the gender off of it, because you can see how habituated we are to role playing, male, female, exactly. And the gender just, it gets such a focal point to it, and especially in this day and age. The qualities that each embody, feminine and masculine, are shared between the two. And they just come into focus in a little bit different faceted awareness. And so men can be strong, women can be strong, certainly, and we know that. So we don't want to get caught up in the label, because we might not be in the right context of the label. And with all these different traditions, what we're looking for is the commonality. We're looking for the connection of oneness that is there. So we each embody male and feminine directives. And, there's no question. It's the connection. It's the oneness that is present in that, not the division. We are not looking at the division. We are looking at how qualities, different aspects show up And if we take all that framework off and just allow the energy to be present, what do we become aware of? Because too often we buy into what we see. And we have to remember that that is just one way of noticing information. And it is not the only way. And it is often the illusion of our story because we're in a biased state when we look at something. So this is fascinating, Crystal, where you've gone with what's shown up here in this space. So in appreciating all these different viewpoints and perspectives, certainly, let's just, my sense is, where do we want to go with this? There we go. Yeah. What are you noticing?
Oh, yes, that you wanted to talk about angels, and although angels are related to these other energies, I think it's great to be able to bring in Gabriel, the archangel of renewal, and Hope, his twin flame, which represent like the two poles of the archangel energy, who are usually thought of as masculine, but they really have both of these elements, and so bring them into our holiday, because it can be a time of, from the standpoint you were discussing earlier, that's so important of the connection with our inner self, and how this can be a portal for not just a new year on the calendar, but a new year of our vibrational experience. That the archangel Gabriel, just as the angels of renewal, the chaste mother, are related to the birth of the Christ child, or of our own heroic energy, that they are present, and we can ask them to gather round, and we can write down our intentions for whatever our own particular awakening that we want to consolidate, that we want to have grow. And we can do that on white paper if we want to, because white is the color of Gabriel. White light joins all the other colors and has that particularly strong vibration of renewal. And we can envision the angels gathering around, touching our hearts. If we're alone, we can imagining them touching our personal heart, and gathering around to celebrate this light that is shining forth from our hearts in this intention, and to facilitate its growth during the cycle ahead. And we can ask them. We can say, for example, Gabriel, Hope, and the angels of renewal are touching my heart to assist the birth of the Christ child within, and bless her path, bless his path in the present cycle. And we can also imagine they're doing this in our house, that they're I love a blessing of the home, but I'm gonna jump over that one right now, because I probably, our time is
we're getting for time. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
we have a few more minutes. Yeah.
Okay, and you just let me know. And because this year on Solstice Day precisely, we have an interesting astrological configuration, which is, first of all, the conjunction of Saturn with Jupiter, which becomes exact. And it's in Aquarius. I mean, both of these planets are moving out in December. They're moving out of Capricorn, where they've been definitely moving around our familiar structures, and in combination with Pluto, which is the planet of transformation. And then Saturn and Jupiter move into Aquarius. They leave Capricorn, which is going to be a big energy shift, and they join precisely on Solstice Day in Aquarius. And some people say that this is actually the era of Aquarius beginning. There are huge amounts of speculation about when the age of Aquarius actually started or is going to start. But in connection with what you were saying earlier, Janet, about how each of us can have our personal rebirth, we can also think of what is the age of Aquarius to us. What is the age of Aquarius, the way we want to live it? And because we are agents, we are active agents of the cosmos, and we don't have to sit around thinking that we're waiting for the planets to do things and to decide our fate. Because there's this energy of love that's all around us and allows us to choose on which vibratory level we're going to connect with the different archetypes. And in the case of the age of Aquarius, we can write down also. Writing down helps to become more concentrated sometimes and to start making our intentions more tangible, bringing in our body energy to the vibration of our hands, of our nervous system, and of course our eyes and minds. And we can write down what it means for me. What does the age of Aquarius mean for me, and how do I want to participate in it, and how do I want to express those energies or connect with them? And when we do this, then we can precipitate another beginning of something new. And Gabriel, it's fascinating to know, is also, according to Lucy Aspra, who's a really great and prolific author on topics of angels and entities and other topics. She's from Honduras, and she's a very good personal friend of mine. And she associates Gabriel with Aquarius. So it's once again Gabriel, and this energy of renewal that is connected to solstice is also coming in these planets joining in Aquarius. And on the same day, we have a square from Mars to Pluto. Now, a lot of astrology out there will tell you about how devastating things can be, and how sometimes they even use word like apocalyptic. They're apocalyptic, but these are choices too, because how we define and the words we use to connect with different energies are going to have a lot to do with how we're actually projecting them and manifesting them. And every configuration has different levels of vibration, so that are potential. And if we think of, for instance, Saturn and Jupiter, the planet of construction, of goals, and the planet of expansion and faith, this combination can be very good for focused goal energy. And Jupiter is also a planet, one of the two planets, along with Neptune, of angels. And the Mars with the Pluto, that can be associated with some problems. And you can find I'm not even going to mention them here because you'll find it all over internet. But Mars, again, is this hero energy, and Pluto is about our power and our ability to transform, and about walking our path of power, which has been a different kind of experience since it entered Capricorn. You can check in your personal life and see what was going on in 2008 when it entered in Capricorn, and what that has to do with an area of transformation that you've experienced since then, which is we're about to get through it, because Pluto will soon also move into Aquarius. But Mars is pushing for action. And so we have this energy of great courage for transformation and a call to action. This is not a time to put our heads in the sand. This is a time to take up our wands, to take up whatever magical power instruments we have, and to apply them, and to transmute appearances, and to assert our mastery on an energy level. And so all of that is really fascinating, and it can give another dimension to this Toltec exercise. That, just to finish, because I know we're running out of time, to face the eastern horizon, the horizon where the sun comes up on solstice morning, which is going to be it tends to be between the 20th, the 22nd, but this year is going to be the 21st, Monday morning, or in some places Sunday night, depending on your time zone. And anyway, look towards the east with your arms outstretched, and invite the energy of the newborn sun in those rays with your fingers open to come in between your fingers and fill your blood fill all the cells of your blood and fill your entire being with the energy of achieving willpower to be our best selves and to express on our highest vibration, highest possible vibration. And so anyway, another big, what do you call it, a package of stuff. But the great thing is they have this podcast. Your listeners have these podcasts that they can go back to and listen to and choose what they like to reinforce.
Thank you. You have so much information, Crystal. It's just a delight. Now, everyone, to wrap this up, she introduced us, and I was tracking. You could feel the transitions of the planets. So just notice that within yourself. That stuff is happening, and whether you have a framework or not is the challenge. So in noticing the transitioning that's going on, being open. Now, for those of you that are not into astrology or don't have references that she's mentioning, no problem. Just be present. Trust. Open. And I bet there is more information there that you have been feeling that you didn't know what you were feeling. So just allow yourself to be part of the cosmos, to be part of the wonder of Earth, and feel that rhythm. And feel your delight in being able to look to the stars. And you don't personally in your story perhaps a reference for those things moving around you, but in the deepness of being you do. You have perspective, and we're inviting you to be in an open state where that perspective can take you places. Much more than you think. And as you feel the portals, you can feel with Crystal when she describes the angelic realm as a portal, you can feel that opening. So bring awareness to it. Just notice and be fearless, because this is the new day.
Wow.
Yeah, that works pretty good, huh?
Oof, that's wonderful. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah, there you go.
Whoa.
I'm so sorry we have to wrap this up, hon. And just going all those different places. So thank you. Thank you so very much, Crystal.
Thank you for this wonderful experience.
Great. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
On our podcast episode page, you will find links to some of the people I will mention. Crystal's influences started with her mother, Maya Del Mar, scientist, activist, journalist, and astrologer. She taught her metaphysical principles while she was still in grade school, taking her to teachers such as Dorothy McLean, one of the founders of Findhorn, Reverend Pearl Shannon of the Western Spiritual Science, and renowned mythologist Joseph Campbell. Maya started training Crystal in astrological charts at age 12, providing her with her first library of esoteric books. Among other authors, Crystal appreciates Emma Curtis Hopkins, Ernest Holmes, Rupert Sheldrake, and Charles Muses, and her friends and colleagues John Randolph Price and Lucy Aspra. Crystal's article on the Mayan calendar and the year 2012 will provide you with references within the cultural oral traditions of Mexico for you to enjoy. That's Mayan Metaphysics for 2012. Here are a few quotes that Crystal enjoys. Humanity's survival depends now upon a willingness and an ability to disengage from consensus and open up to other worlds. Aurelius Kepos, Homo Sapiens, his book, and there's a link provided on the page. And The sun shines and warms and lights us, but we have no curiosity to know why this is so. But we reason all of evil, pain, and hunger, and mosquitoes and silly people. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And our original ancestors were not silly apes, but a magical display of the very essence, nature, and energy of the primordial source of all creation, fashioned into luminous form. Sharon Rose, The Path of the Priestess. Our featured meditation from Interlude and Internet Retreat will return in the new year. My guest this episode, Crystal Pomeroy, brings with her an abundance into portals of different appreciations, traditions, myths, and stories of both nourishment, renewal, help that we can access. Whether you are conscious today in your beliefs in angels or astrology, goddesses and gods, and the power of Mother Nature does not matter. They live within your physical, mental, emotional, psychological, psychic, and spiritual DNA. For these are the realms of our ancestors, and what served as the science at the time. It is what they followed and believed in long ago, before the written. In the times of wall and rock paintings, the oral still echoes and vibrates. These are the sounds that live in your bones and blood from perhaps just outside of your awareness. And what we might call our imaginations and interests are often our connections to references from this ancestral memory bank. There is a lot of information to take in. So take the time to listen into this episode more than once if you want to satisfy self with the details and what maybe you missed the first time around. This blog is titled The Realms of Beyond Are Filled with Help. You can read along at my website blog page, www.janetandbeyond.com, if you like. We are in the middle of another holiday season filled with virus. Unfortunately, not our normal holiday season filled with our regular cold and flu viruses, which are deadly enough. We are dealing with the COVID virus. How are you doing so far? If you are feeling stressed, go to this place. Go to the place within that takes you in beyond your isolated, separated sense of self and your personal story illusion, and unfolds into the realms and worlds of the ancients, be they angels, goddesses, and forest devas. Allow your issues, those concerns that seem so important and perhaps are, and let these energy signatures come forward. Feel the release that comes with accepting their timeless awareness of how all is connected as one. In beyond your limits is where this magic happens. No matter your race, creed, or inclinations, it is your beliefs that form your realities. It is your biases and projections and perspectives that play with you as creator. This is the truth that we so resist at times and want to hide from or deny. And it is a work in progress. Life and consciousness are spectrum-oriented. All is allowed. There is no rights and wrongs and good and bad. These are judgments to be found in the human bias. Suffering of all kinds can happen in our body forms, as well as our delights. Death is as real as birth. This is our dance of spirit and human playing out. What do we do with our experiences that we may find ourselves involved in over the course of our physical lifetimes? Maybe help would be nice. In the spirit realm or as consciousness, all is available. We forget this when in form. Many people have issues with asking for help. We have made it about charity, or we are too weak or needy. Religious dogmas stir. It is not a matter of being less than, though it may feel that way. Consider instead help as an element of flow. It is a flow that supports and enriches the spirit in the humanity that enriches the human awareness. Our ability to focus through prayer and meditation are access points to this flow. It is a matter of alignment within consciousness, not so much subservience to an individual, which that'll all depend on your frameworks of religion or spirituality. So consider your reality framework. Accepting help is being open to the other energies that are empowered as consciousness. They hold information that you may not have knowledge of personally, but can access. The reality of help available as needed is useful. Not the help that is not help, but more work kind of help. Not being attached to how it shows up is useful. What happens when your angel shows up and doesn't look like what you expect it to? Knowing that information I can access is all around me in any realm that I might find myself dealing with is useful. Humans can be highly creative when it comes to blocks and defenses and accepting help. At heart, they often hold that they are less than and not deserving. They have something to gain in being unaware of how they are resisting their own good fortune. And remember, the help flow is also not one-directional. It is a two-way path. If you ask for help, you are open to helping others because you know the value of help. To play it forward or pay it forward, you are comfortable with acting as angel. Next time, just be open. Access your core, place your issue in front of you, and ask for the part of consciousness that could help. Trust, and notice what shows up in synchronicity. Get in the habit of being in the help flow and enjoying yourself. Happy holidays. You can reach Crystal for alchemy, empowerment, and healing sessions, various courses working with angels, and in-depth astrological and numerological charts at crystal_clearalways@yahoo.com. Follow her on Facebook as Crystal Pomeroy, author and healer, and Instagram as crystal_clearalways. Thank you for joining me here at Journeys to Enlightenment with Janet. A new episode is released every 2 weeks. Any questions or thoughts or guests you'd like to suggest, you can email me directly at janetandbeyondpodcast@outlook.com. For more information about all the elements that make up each episode, they are on my podcast page at my website, www.janetandbeyond.com. While there, you will also find information about my other podcast show, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet, and all about my work with clients. You can sign up to receive my regular weekly blog, Life in the Beyond, Journeys into Enlightenment. If you're looking for other regular opportunities to sit in heart-centered awareness with myself and others, you can join us in my Fuzzy Photons playground groups I offer on Wednesdays. Live interactive space via Zoom video conferencing. You can follow each episode of this podcast series on my YouTube channel, Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Till the next time, notice what feels different right in this moment. It is real, and it can last a lifetime.